and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dudley Boys of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, they're joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick. Nice to have us all back together for a day to review AEW Dynamite, Sidge.
Yeah, before I give you my broad thoughts on AEW Dynamite last night, just some free advice. Free of charge, you don't have to pay. If you are half entertaining the notion of one day moving house, you're going to get around to it, or maybe even you start looking for available properties and just half entertaining the idea of putting your own on and getting involved in the chain, and it's something you want to do within the next year, okay? Start performing open heart surgery on your house. Like every crevice, what's in the loft? Like what's in that cupboard under the stairs? The amount of stuff you don't even know that you've accumulated that you are going to have to get rid of or box up or whatever is unbelievable. It is ridiculous. You'll find something like, I've got no use for that. I don't want to move it. Why is it still in my house? Where am I going to put it? The bin is full. You're brilliant with analogies. Is this leading to something about like Tony Khan and his roster? No, is that where this is going? He's done that. He's decluttered. He has decluttered. Yeah. I thought that was where this
If it doesn't bring him joy, off to ROH you go. What a pain in the arse. Did you find anything surprising or like stuff you'd completely forgotten about? Like gems of like, I forgot I bought this.
No.
Oh.
I find you have to be realistic with those gems as well, because, well, how much of a gem was it really that it disappeared from your life for so long?
This is it.
You have to be realistic, don't you?
It got to a point where there's like there was a big cupboard in the boudoir, like this big sort of big, like I would say about 5 by 3 foot, just stuff. Right, don't need that for the foreseeable future. Whack it in there. Close the door if you can.
Yeah.
Sight unseen, I would have binned that stuff, but you've got to check. And what I discovered is a load of clothes from my rail-thin university days, where I'm like, well, me. That's not going to fit, and I'm not going to make the necessary lifestyle choices to make that fit again. And off to charity you go.
James could have had them.
No. That's no. You're not giving the advice I am.
Sorry,
he's too jacked.
Good point. Burst through it.
You would have burst through it. Not only do you have to bin the stuff that you've got no need for, and there's so much more of it than you could ever comprehend. Don't set yourself the trap of, I will have use for that one day, because that's how you get into the mess in the first place. Show ruthless aggression. Do I have a need for this now? No. I got chunky a bit compared to my university days. Will James fit into that in 5 years? Who cares?
It's 5 years.
Get a paper round and get a part-time job and buy your own clothes. Because I cannot deal with this clutter.
Stuff is lame.
Anymore. Stuff's lame.
I'm been a stuffsman for a long time.
There's stuff that I thought, there was the odd thing where I'm like, I could have some use for that. Like some old magazines or some old books. The only thing that allowed myself, and yes, we'll talk about the wrestling imminently, the only thing that I've thought, other than like clothes and just stuff that I need, like my coffee gear and all the rest of it, was at some point, purely for ornamental purposes, I would like a nice, like mahogany bookcase.
Ooh, yeah.
And I want to keep my books, put them in the garage. It's good having a garage. I mean, it's just a complete landfill. It's just landfilled now. Yeah. It's already just stuff that I reckon in about 2 years.
The next house move.
The next
get rid of the garage stuff.
Just get sight unseen. Get rid of all the stuff in the garage. I want to keep my books because one day I'd like to start reading again. And if nothing else, it's nice decoration. I just the stuff, junk buried in cupboards that you'll never, ever need. Sight unseen, get rid of it.
Because then you don't even know what you're getting rid of, and that's
exactly,
easier.
yeah.
You sleep easier knowing that it's not.
Does your new house come with a book hole?
No.
First question you ask when you're going around.
Should be getting one built in, really.
Freehold, leasehold, book hole, question mark?
Anyway,
thoughts on Dynamite?
Dynamite, I'm glad it was the last show in this building. The longer you look at it, the more you realize, it's not quite this beautiful, ornate theatre that you can imagine concert pianists worthy of, Carnegie Hall?
Mm-hmm.
Playing at this. It looks a little bit tacky and gimmicky the more that you sort of are not forced to look at it, but I'm ready to get out. It doesn't look quite as New Hammerstein as it did on night one. So I'm looking forward to getting away from there. In terms of way more important things like booking and action, good, not great. There was some stuff I loved on this show. There was that beautiful, only in AEW detail, that those ideas that I love, most of which were packed into that opening sort of 20, 25 minutes, granted. I would say the big selling point on the show met my expectations, which sounds like I'm downplaying it. Maybe I am, but I think it was a passable. That makes it sound mediocre. It wasn't. I don't know. I said all along with this Death Rider stuff as it was heating up, like, I know everyone's looking forward to the big All in Texas main event and all the rest of it. At some point, there's going to be that feeling of, all right, okay, what else you got? What have you done for me lately? There's going to be a natural lull in terms of buzz, excitement, that sense of importance and all the rest of it. Again, they're getting Hangman Page perfect. That is objective number one, and they are smashing it. So that is the good news. That realistically is the lead. You can't have, and I know this word has been bastardized, you can't have the feeling every week when, the world's been restored, let's just live in it for a while. It's not particularly inspiring at the moment, but I would say that's more a reflection of the scheduling, how pro wrestling must operate without an off-season, as much as anything else. I don't think it's a reflection of things being boring or whatever. It's just hard to get jazzed about the come-down period, which is what we're still in.
Yeah, I was honestly this was a good episode, but I was more impressed. I mentioned this in relation to the main event on the preview yesterday, but really it was the whole episode. I was quite impressed with how AEW have approached 3 weeks in a building. I've kind of looked at this as a 3-week booking project. You've got to bring them back 3 weeks on the spin. You've got to ideally fill every seat. Small enough venue where that's not that ambitious to think we want to sell 1,000 tickets. So you structure it around this, well, you referred to it as like the day after the big party come down episode. And then the second one almost, to use your sort of typical podcast parlance, as the fallout and the go home all in one. And then you get this last episode where it turns out to not just, you sold people on the idea of coming in for the title match. But then if you look up and down this card, there's like at least one result that was of pretty significant consequence beyond the title match, and a couple of other developments that make people feel like, if you come to all three, I've enjoyed this. Like, I've had a sense of, it felt like there was a genuine strategy to how they've approached this residency. And if they're going to do this more often, it's almost as if you can then fantasy book towards what they might do with 3 weeks in this venue or 3 weeks in this venue. It's not just, right, here's the next 3 weeks of Dynamite. They have, honestly, it's its own little bubble, almost. Like Hangman Page only now feels like he's entering his new frontier as the champion because of what we got at the very end with like his potential his next two challenges. Like this was a nice way to wash his hands of the Death Riders, but keep it feeling hot and new.
Looking
and all
forward,
that. It's where we go next. It happens at the very, very end of this, and it's like, right, join us next week on Dynamite. If they'd have tried that in week one, then it would have made selling this world title match a lot more difficult. I think it's been really smartly handled, and it continues to be. I know that's not necessarily the exciting thing creatively, and it's but it is part of AEW's rebuild in 2025. Going at the smaller venues was a big thing, but if a smaller venue is offering you, say, 3 weeks, and you have the potential to keep these crowds engaged and buying tickets, then you do it. There's going to be more of these, I would imagine. There's going to be more of these 3 and 4 week residences in places, and it's quite fun to think of it as its own little mini self-contained era Oh, do you remember like the Hangman Page post-title stuff? He wrapped up his stuff with Moxley, and that was that, you know?
The next one, the 2300 arena. Yeah.
It sort of reminds me, and this was bad at the time, but it reminds me of like absolute doldrums fed when they had to do 4 weeks Raw taped. And that was when Nitro was like, oh, great, we can spoil all the results. But the idea was you could only book so much in a bottle because then otherwise the wrestlers were moving on to like the next storylines. They've done this, but with live weeklies every week. I think it's quite impressive.
So we come on air with Excalibur running down tonight's card, and we get a great video package highlighting the history, of course, between Hangman Page, Mox, and Death Riders, and Texas Death, and all that, of course, from All In. And then we go to the ring where the enhancement talent are already in there, the Young Bucks, except they're not the Young Bucks because the graphic that flashes up on screen, and along with, you know, the big results from this match and the forward booking, as you mentioned there, one of the big talking points was the fact that the Young Bucks, the former EVPs, the guys who created all this, are in the ring, and it simply says on the little lower third... Chiron, thank you. Talent name, stat, social media. Not been filled in.
Lovely. That was absolutely fantastic. That was the detail I was talking about in the intro. Like, I got such a massive smile on my face when the penny dropped. They've been jobber entranced, and then the crowd got it.
Yeah,
which they haven't been getting all of the Young Bucks shtick. We were talking about the post All In Dynamite when they went EVP. Oh, we can't call it that. And then because they hadn't been hammering it, that crowd didn't do the Nelson Muntz point and laugh, ha ha. They just kind of didn't know how to react. But because they've been hammering it, this idea of they've been kind of disgraced and they've had their pants pulled down and they've been knocked off their perch. Now people can laugh. Now people get the story, and now the chanted jobbers at them. I just thought that was such a tremendous touch, that.
And the Outrunners get a full entrance.
Of course, like I was saying, Wilbourn this morning, the tape study they can do on this of like, what's the worst ways jobbers have been presented over the last like 30, 40 years of wrestling? We'll give everyone to the Young Bucks. Yeah. That's such a fun thing to get. I remember there's like the kind of the famous Mick Foley squash where he just gets battered by Dynamite Kid. There's a few around that time where young, skinny rake Mick Foley takes a real beating. But there's one week in particular where the ring announcer just says, this corner, Nick Foley. And Mick Foley, like, what? Like, the camera's on his face as he's waiting in the ring to be pulverized by some 80s, like,
sociopath.
Lunkhead. Yeah. He's like, Nick Foley. Like,
close enough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So like, was Chris Jericho doing the ring announcing? It's his patter all over, isn't it?
Was it just Matt and Nick this week? Did they even get Jackson at the end? Or was it just Matt and Nick Jackson but no Young Bucks or something?
So next week going to be Nat and Mick.
Yeah. Nat and Mick, and then like, sorry.
Nat and Mick Johnson. The Outrunners get a big entrance, and Truth Magnum starts off with Nick, and Nick gets sent back and forth between both Outrunners, but the Bucks fight back and do their big pose for the crowd. Magnum finally gets the hot tag, runs wild, but Matt lays out Floyd with a super kick. Nick dives to the outside, gets right in Tony Schiavone's face, and he talks about how big a superstar he is, basically. And they throw the commercial. When they come back, Matt Jackson spits in the face of Turbo Floyd, who nearly gets the hot tag, but Nick gets rid of Magnum on the outside. Nick runs wild with some super kicks, somersault cutter from Matt off the apron to the floor on Floyd. But Magnum escapes the more bang for your buck and gets the hot tag to Floyd. Fans are going wild at this point. Body slams, charging corner elbows, and Northern Lights bomb on Matt. They set up for the son of a bitch elbow, but Nick super kicks out of that. They try for total recall. Matt makes the save with another super kick party, but Floyd no-sells it, batters both of them with big lariats, and they hit the son of a bitch elbow for 2. Nick makes the save, hits a moonsault to the floor, assisted slice spread, running knee gets a near fall. Nick almost collides with Rick Knox, the ref, but as a result of that, mule kicks Magnum, shoves Knox shoves him back, and he almost gets pinned as a result of this.
Love that.
Magnum gets a roll-up off it. The Bucks also accidentally super kick each other, and they hit total recall on Matt, but Nick dives in to make the save. They try total recall again, but this time Matt schoolboys with the grabbing the tights as well for a 2 count, and the Bucks hit the TK driver. Nick holds off Floyd, and Matt gets the 1, 2, 3. Fans not happy about this enhancement talent going over the real stars.
Not quite as magical as that first FTR versus Outrunners match on Collision, There were a few, I don't want to say flubbed spots, but just a few bits of like sort of wonky positioning where they couldn't get the full dramatic effect from what they were trying to do. Like a few sort of like awkward-ish moments. But in terms of the structure, the drama, how well it was worked, I thought this was genuinely not a miracle, but close to it. Maybe I should be talking more like I'm 39 years old. More respect on the name of the Outrunners, but they're in there with people who know how to get the best out of them. It's no surprise whatsoever that when they have matches against FTR and the Young Bucks, they look like the best versions of themselves. The crowd are still with them a great deal. I thought this was tremendous. There was two things about this that I loved in particular. One, and again, you can't do this all of the time, but I love it, the device, the trope, when a wrestler will bust something out that they never do in a match. Like rarely. What was it like that sort of like inside the ring to the out cutter that I think Matt Jackson did? Or, well, one of them. The idea being like, they're giving us way more of a stern test than we thought. We're going to have to go deep in our bag. Again, I'm a 39-year-old British white YouTuber. I'm sorry about these cliches that I'm spouting here. But I just love that as a touch. The timing's got to be right. You've got to earn it. But the Outrunners were so great in this match where I thought, they've earned that. They've earned that. The spot with Rick Knox in particular, like as a person who loved PWG, or has gone back rather and watched that incredible Young Bucks run, lovely bit of lore there. But it ties in with the idea of like the institution that is AEW was fed up with the Young Bucks and the way they went on, even though they stopped doing it for a year, but never mind. And the idea, I just completely bought that near fall because combined with the jobber entrance and the stuff that has happened over the past 2 or 3 weeks, you could firmly believe in the magic of that moment that, this is how they lose. This is exactly how they lose because the company has decided, you know what, you've taken us for a ride, piss off, company-wide sort of like, it's what I'm looking for, like mandate that these guys suck. Let's just try and make their life a living hell for a little bit. So I loved the comedy of that spot, how it's tied into the storyline. They inserted it in the match at such a point where you thought it was in that sort of like turbo drama phase where it's like anything can happen now. Any sort of fall in either direction you can buy as the finish, because that's what the Young Bucks are like. That's their expertise at this point. Loved that. Yeah, so a few flubs aside in terms of the way that the Young Bucks were presented, the action, the structure, this was like near perfect for what it was. One more bit on this as well is, and again, I'm going to try not to go around the houses here. God knows I've done enough of that.
That's good. That's good stuff.
God, it's all good
stuff. Yeah.
God knows I've had enough of that this week, right? But one thing I love, I've talked a lot over the years on these podcasts about how pro wrestling is chasing a dead concept to drive itself forward. And that dead concept is heat. You can't really believe that everyone hates each other. I see so many brawls and betrayals and saves and all these devices that only used to work when people half believed or people got really into it. There's a detached quality to pro wrestling right now where what they try and do a lot of the time, you just can't really take it seriously. Kenny Omega, and I promise this is halfway relevant, is a genius because he utilizes the media in such a way that I thought for a while him and Ospreay genuinely despised each other. Then when he realized they're working a match, all right, okay, well, that bubble's burst because they've agreed to work with each other. But like sort of apropos of nothing, Kenny Omega would just start kind of randomly bringing up Will Ospreay as, God, he's just like, in a really meta-believable way of like, Omega would go to the edge and say, like completely like break kayfabe, air quotes, and say, I don't like the way that Will Ospreay constructs his worked fictional matches, that none of this is real. I think he relies on too many high spots, or there's not much artistry there. Like he was working, he was lying, but he's trying to sell the idea of, you know what, the way he puts his matches together, I find artless or easy or whatever. And he's found a way in to make you believe that, all right, okay, well, he doesn't like him on a professional or creative level. He thinks he's above him in the way that they approach this fictional game. That's one way of trying to create hatred and animosity. In a weird way, this match benefited from something that I think wrestling should be more sophisticated with, and that is tell stories through the media. Like, the fictional construct of pro wrestling is so cliched and well-worn at this point that you've got to find a new way in. And I don't know if you knew this or if it impacted your viewing experience or what, but it came out not too long ago that during 2024, the Young Bucks wanted to do a 3-minute job to the Outrunners. I can't remember why or when, but I remembered that news report of the Young Bucks saying, "Oh yeah, we did a pitch to do to get beat off the Outrunners in 3 minutes," and that thought lingered over this and made me think, "Oh, the Outrunners are going to do it."
I like that. Yeah,
just be a little bit more interesting, have some new ideas. And I think there was so many of them in this match that I was genuinely bowled over.
I had an idea what you were talking there about. Oh, it was either Matt or Nick who did that thing to the outside. What if next week they say, look, commentators can't tell the difference between you boys, so they have to wear the "Hello, my name is" stickers on their chest during the matches.
Or at least like their own, never mind like Young Bucks and the logos and that, just their own names badly printed. Nick. Like down one leg, Matt down the other leg, that kind of thing. Not a lot to add to the match other than to share the praise. The Young Bucks, and I do believe that they've thought about this because of the types of wrestlers they are. I love, this isn't even a losing streak. It's a very clever losing streak because they're winning. But it's been portrayed as a losing streak because of the other stuff.
A loser's streak.
Yeah, a loser's streak rather than a losing one. The stuff that surrounds the wrestlers rather than the result of the matches themselves. What I love is when you have a losing streak gimmick, and typically they're not long-term effective, but you can have some fun along the way, is that within the body of a wrestler's match, the perception becomes the reality. So they start making mistakes because they're acting rash or they're not. They've lost their heads a little bit, and they kind of, you watch that play out in the form of a match. The Young Bucks do miscommunication spots all the time, but it was the nature of the miscommunication, the timing and when they super kicked each other in particular was the one that stuck out to me of like, oh God, do we suck now? Like that, they played that really well to the point where pulling the tights felt like that act of desperation.
And not just the same thing you see a heel do.
Not just
every
cheating
time,
heels. It was like, oh Christ, if we don't do something, we're gonna lose. Like, and so the idea of pulling the tights and just, I thought they sold that really well with the facials and the specific mistakes they're making as the Young Bucks, a team where suddenly out of nowhere they're on the bones of their arse that just happen to be winning. Like they're getting away with it. They're threading that needle. If we reach a point in this tournament, by the way, Sidge, I don't know if you saw this while you were off, but all those TBAs must have got themselves injured because they've been replaced by a bunch of tag teams.
Yeah. It's actually a really good bracket.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's really unpredictable. If you arrive at the Young Bucks and FTR, which is possible.
I mean, which was telegraphed.
I was trying to, but yeah, you're probably right. At this point, it's FTR heels never more locked in versus the Young Bucks. We crap now. And that becomes the heel
lucky underdogs.
That becomes the heel babyface.
yeah.
Like, and it's Young Bucks FTR. It's the match, and yet that's a new dynamic for it that we've not previously explored with these two, and it makes it feel like it was so weird that nobody's calling for this match anymore, and yet they might have found a way in to make it like entertaining before the bell rings. And fair play to them. And it's the Young Bucks. I kind of trust them with it as well.
So yeah, post-match, Okada comes down to celebrate with the Bucks, and the three of them beat down the Outrunners. Swerve's music hits, and Okada turns his attention to the stage, but the Outrunners have got back up, made a comeback, and he gets pinball between Swerve, Magnum, and Floyd. There's a backdrop by Floyd. Swerve wants to hit the house call, but the Bucks save Okada, pulling him to safety, but then Swerve just does a huge swerve stomp onto the pile on the outside.
Bang game for the trios match here is a natural build to Swerve and Okada, maybe at Forbidden Door or whatever, if only because they could have a lot of fun with Swerve embracing Outrunners aesthetic for the night, leaning into some of his own personal nostalgia or something. I just think visually that could be a lot of fun for one evening.
Yeah, when I saw all this come together, I'm thinking, I like the Outrunners. I like and sometimes love Swerve Strickland. It feels a bit lightweight, I think, especially when Swerve, I don't want to say he's lost his edge as a character. I've seen some chatter online about that. I don't know if I fully subscribe to it. I definitely think Swerve Strickland has got a lot in the way of staying power. Potentially run the risk of, if he's teaming with the Outrunners, it's more cute than anything else. And the idea is like apparently this is their messaging that's been not leaked, but reported through media channels, that they want this unified title to be sort of a world heavyweight compared to the undisputed WWE title. They want it to be at world title in everything but name. And I think if you're doing this sort of almost at this point cute AEW device to build to a unified title match, it doesn't really feel serious. Maybe it's just a 1 week diversion, but I would have presented this title a lot differently if it was.
I kind of forgot Okada had it. To your point, I was thinking about Okada versus Swerve as a match, and you can kind of have a chat about how good that could realistically be. But I'd forgot that Okada's got this belt, and that's where the stakes are going to be in the Okada match.
They are telling you and not necessarily showing you that this is meant to be hugely important. I will say, and I know this is preview fodder. We might not get to preview it. Who knows? It's wacky summer, but there's a lot of stuff in the can.
Yeah.
So either keep an eye on your feed or subscribe to one, because there's some stuff that we've got in the can that we're really happy with.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff. Genuinely, I'm not just doing a sales pitch here. We came out of the studio the other week and thought, it's some good podcasting that. That is some good podcasting. So yeah, I don't want to step on the dick of a preview that might not actually get recorded, but Okada bantering off the Outrunners, mimicking their poses, just treating them with contempt. That could be quite funny.
Yeah.
Ain't Nobody Shaka Khan 1983, which might help with the Outrunners gimmick sort of things. Yeah. I just thought Swerve looked so cool here. He's so
synth wave cover of Ain't Nobody.
I like that. But yeah, he hits that Swerve stomp onto the part, and I was like, what a cool dude. I'd love to party with that guy. Well, good news. You can, in less than 3 weeks' time, in fact. With
he does not want to party with you.
Sweet Chin Disco. We are going to be following AEW for their show in Glasgow for the build to Forbidden Door. And then obviously at Forbidden Door, we're at the Indigo 2, same venue as the O2 where Forbidden Door is going down. If you want to join us for either of those shows, dice.fm.
Not us, it's just him. It's his personal thing.
Party with Swerve.
I didn't realize this was his Twitter account.
His 2-man party with Swerve. It's like Cartman Land, and you can't come.
Renee Paquette is backstage with Mark Briscoe, brings up his issues with MJF, but then suddenly, bing bong, excuse me, in comes Ricochet with the Gates of Agony. It is funny. Says if Briscoe isn't careful, Ricochet's going to bounce him out of town in a pool of his own blood like he did at Revolution. He's very happy with himself, Ricochet. He's not the only one. Briscoe's on a warpath, though, tonight and says he'll kick Ricochet's ass, but that's nothing compared to what he's going to do to MJF. And Ricochet said tonight, I'm going to beat you again, called him a loser, and then said,
What a gift Ricochet is to AEW. Seriously. I really mean that. Like, I was thinking about this after the new stable was formed, and I've kind of, I'm a Gates of Agony guy now, and I can't be.
GOA, sir.
GOA, of course. That must make me a Ricochet guy. Oh, no. Who'd have thought it? Not me.
I'll reserve my thoughts on all of this until the main event.
Okay. That's because there's so much overlapping.
Yes.
Speaking of MJF, he's in the back, talks about being in the biggest movie in the world, Happy Gilmore 2.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I've not seen the first Happy Gilmore.
I'll see it. All right, okay.
I'm never going to get around to that. Is it good?
I've not seen it, no. I'm making plans to watch it at some point. Been very, very busy. I really like the first one. It was one of those films like that I just watched over and over and over again as a teenager. I'm looking forward to it.
I've seen a clip of MJF in it with Eminem, I think it is.
I struggled with Adam Sandler a lot when I was younger.
I liked two of his movies.
Wedding Singer and The Waterboy were the ones I seem to watch a lot.
I love The Wedding Singer. I don't consider it a Sandler movie. I consider that a great movie that Sandler happens to lead.
He's kind of got his own Sandler verse, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's not in that. It's just. I love The Wedding Singer. It's such a wonderful, wonderful film.
I love the Sandler. It's like,
makes me feel nice.
Yeah,
Big Daddy and like The Waterboy and Happy Gilmore, and then it's like Uncut Gems. What's going on here? That's a bit of a change.
Still never watched that, but I'm told I should.
I only watched like the first half an hour, and I was like, this is I'm not sure how I feel about all this.
Uncut Gems is very much one of the films that if I was in my 20s when it came out or my late teens, I would have loved it and definitely made the time for watch it. I don't want to be stressed.
Yeah.
With my escapism. I'm stressed enough in life as it is.
I agree.
Also, Sage, a tangential thing. Do you think perhaps your love of The Wedding Singer is because there's a certain song that happens in The Wedding Singer that might even appear on this podcast?
Well, that's where I get it from. Well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, that's exactly where I get it from.
Yeah, you got great films.
That's exactly where I get it from. What a soundtrack! God, what a picture The Wedding Singer is.
Absolutely cinema.
I think it's a fantastic, warm movie that hits every single note.
But MJF's there to get the Hurt Syndicate back on track, knocks on their door, but only Shelton Benjamin comes out. Lashley and MVP aren't there. MJF says, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for Bob's actions last week. I want to strategize to get my world title back. But Benjamin cuts him off, says MVP's not there because he's pretty disgusted with it, MJF. And he says, well, what time is it, by the way? Brings up the watch that MJF gave him and says, it's the nicest watch he's seen from Temu. He knows a cheap knockoff when he sees it. The only reason MJF didn't get his ass kicked a long time ago was MVP stuck his neck out for him. But MJF can get to step in with his fake watch, and if he doesn't, he'll leave him in a pool of his own piss. Chucks the fake watch, does Shelton, and gives MJF a thumbs down. Slams the door in his face, and MJF screams to get the camera out of it after that.
We can feel more assured this week about our
It's a ruse.
confusion. Yeah, we couldn't decide because we saw all this last week. And you didn't see it, but Lashley, MJF by the throat and all this same deal. And myself and Sidge both wondered if the fact we're seeing this and they've explained there's a camera there each time, is it like ruse City Jones from MJF? Because Hangman Page is going to be smart enough to watch the show. This was the week I felt confident it is that. And not just a very, very, very rushed pivot.
Because I was like, I heard the reports from last week, and I was like, what do you mean the Hurt Syndicate's finished?
If it was a rushed, abrupt pivot where they had this idea, didn't necessarily shake out as intended, let's just, for continuity's sake, just park it. If that was the case, they would have just not revisited it this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in cahoots still. Cahoots is one of the, again, 1998.
Yeah.
Just entered that personal lexicon and never escaped.
You seen the latest Vault upload where they have like fans at SummerSlam night? Yeah, you got to watch it for the Austin Pop. It's just somebody in the middle of the garden. 98 highway Hell Steve Austin Pop is ear splitting. Brilliant.
Show me it later.
I will do.
Christian Cage returns. Tony welcomes into the ring for the first time since All In. My name is Christian Cage, and I'm an asshole, he says. Taz on commentary says that's a shoot.
Yeah, and if you're going to, this evoked memories of Mr. Anderson and somehow got worse from there.
I like Christian Cage as much as Tony Khan does, and I didn't like this.
No, this is poor, but we'll get into it.
Handling his business. Quite a few times. He's numb to the world.
A lot of conducting.
Yeah.
He's doesn't care who's in his way or who gets hurt.
Like a maestro. And not.
Yeah.
He was focused on winning the world title, fulfilling his destiny, brings up Revolution, hits the spear, nearly wins the title, but feelings, split second looking down at the mat, seeing his past. That hesitation cost him his future. He didn't realize the Kip Sabian Nick Wayne's nuts dropped, and they could stand up to him despite not earning the right to do so. When it comes to just business, he spent more money on rental cars than they've spent combined in their entire career. Cage didn't stick to the plan because he didn't think the patriarchy was capable of pulling it off. He talks about...
I mean, there's some evidence there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right there. He's got evidence for Kip Sabian missing his cues.
Oh, yeah, mate.
It's law.
He talks about Kip, Nick, and Nick Wayne's mom, who's still got it going on. Doesn't know how to live the life, doesn't know what it's like to live the life of luxury. There's a long line of people ready to destroy Cage for what he's done. Turns his attentions then to Adam Copeland, talking about, crippling him and, destroying his family and stuff like that. Was it all that bad what I said? You should understand, you're the ultimate opportunist. You've lived this business for as long as I have. See all of that in all your accomplishments over your career. Maybe I didn't find myself, but they're kind of much of the same. The patriarchy embarrassed Cage at All In, deciding that they didn't need a patriarch anymore. Nick Wayne's mom, she's got it going on and she's right. It was hard. This is where I got confused.
Okay.
It was hard getting up that night, but he's gotten out of large gaping holes before. He's clawed his way out. Not as big as hers, though. What's going on here?
Right. What's going on here is that a classic thing where it happens a lot in wrestling. Maybe it happens in films. I don't know. I don't care for them anymore. I can't be asked. Where
broadly agree.
Where the woman character will say either you can't get an erection without medical aid, or you got a tiny cock and it's not big enough to satisfy my sexual desires and urges. And then the man, basically, this is the worst Triple H Stephanie. Maybe the field I was playing on was too damn big. There's nothing wrong with my dick. I said.
Didn't he say it was as big as a jumbo jet back in the day? Like
It's hard to land a jumbo jet, something like that.
Grand Canyon.
So he's basically, she's got a big fanny.
Your fanny is massive, but let us not forget how massive my cock is also.
Yes.
Both things can be true. We must get back to the size of my cock.
Yes.
As it pertains to my cock.
As it pertains to my cock.
As it pertains to your vagina, Stephanie.
So yeah, that's what he's getting at.
Anyway.
And it just begs the question, why do you have sex with each other if it was so unsatisfying?
Fair question.
He asks Nick Wayne,
tripe.
how is it going to go when you have to actually show up and fight? I've always answered the bell for the things I've done and said. Yes, Nick is a prodigy. He's got more talent than Christian Cage, but the audacity to call yourself the new face of AEW, you have to go through Christian Cage to get that claim. Nick, you already have one dead father. Now you've got a father that's dead to you as well. He disowns them. And as he walks up the ramp, out walks Nick Wayne's mom. Still got it going on. She tries to hit him, gets blocked. There's a sneak attack right on time from Kip Sabian, but gets caught. But as Cage is bothering himself with that, he gets clobbered by Nick Wayne with the title. And they do a standing concerto to Christian Cage on the stage, who collapses. And Nick screams that he disowns Christian Cage anyway. So
I'll tell you what, the physical payoff to this promo was very poorly done again, which really doesn't help one of the myriad problems with all of this. Verging on a nightmare scenario all around this. Verging on a nightmare scenario. I'm going to lay out all the problems that I can think of, and I might miss some because this was kind of a disaster, an across-the-board disaster. I'm going to start this by saying one really nice thing, okay? And that is Christian Cage has created and developed such an absolutely fantastic and believable heel persona that he's taken so far to such blackly hilarious heights or depths, depending on where you sit, that the idea of him turning babyface again has become this incredibly complex problem that needs solving if they're going to do Edge and Christian versus the Revival, Cope and Cage versus FTR. That can, if you're going to be generous about it and nice, you can interpret this problem as a glowing endorsement of Christian Cage and his heel persona, right? So we've talked about, as soon as it started to become, as soon as you saw the path to Cope and Cage versus FTR, immediately we thought, how do you turn this dude babyface? After all the things he said, and yes, he's owned up to that in this promo. I've said a lot of bad things, and it was always going to be a huge, huge uphill battle, a very challenging bit of character development, a very challenging bit of booking. Throughout all of this, I never really doubted Cage's ability to pull it off. I thought, the plotting is going to be real difficult, but it's Christian Cage. Mm-hmm. He had to have a good night here, and he had a terrible one. He had to have a good night here, and this was pretty terrible. He had a hard job here. He can't do this impossible babyface turn at the flick of a switch. Mm-hmm. He has to gently show the odd sign of maybe feeling or expressing remorse, right? I didn't buy it, but again, it's going to be hard because he was Christian Cage in the turtleneck. You know, this kind of iconic AEW character. So he kind of struggled there for one. He also struggled during the actual content and delivery of the promo to a point where it was so obvious every time he said, "I'm conducting my business, be quiet." No one's making any noise, mate. Like the fact that when he was getting lost and this dragged on and on and on, and he had a lot to try and navigate, and he was visibly struggling out there, the longer he kept, the more he kept saying, "Conducting my business," it was very obvious a tactic to buy some time and get his train of thought back on the tracks. And that was a little bit humiliating. And he was losing the crowd. He was losing me at home. Another problem with this is all this dense stuff he was trying to unpack kind of meant nothing to me. And I don't know how much it means to this audience, because at this point, Christian Cage is trying to sell you on the idea of my estranged sons, Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne. I can't believe they've done this to me. I need to solve this problem. I'm in a fouad with them now, and I'm selling this. Meanwhile, the audience is basically, get them out the way so we can get to the FTR match. So what he's selling you is ultimately, and I might be wrong, people might be patriarchy mad, right? Or uncaged mad. I didn't get the sense of that in the building. It really feels like, all right, we need to get to this bit before we get to the other bit. And because he's spending what felt like 20 minutes talking about the bit before the real bit, I was getting lost, really, really lost. Another thing that is a problem is Cope's general vibe. Not great. Cope's performances on the stick since coming back All in Texas have been generally in keeping with his AEW form. Not great. No one cares. You're a bit cringe. I don't want to see Cage and Cope together any more, really, than I want to see them apart at this point. This should have been a home run. Even if you just get the kazoos out and those dumb sunglasses, this should have been the easiest home run of the nostalgia. They are botching this quite badly. And again, what was going on in this, the physicality of this angle, was the timing, the way it was done was just so poor.
Yeah, botching the angle is where I feel, because I know on the night I'm going to love it. I am so excited for the idea of Cope and Christian versus FTR. Toronto, all out. The Edge and Christian of it all. A potential 5-second pose. I am bang game. Love them. Love them to the point where I've realised as soon as it was very clear where we were going, I got excited for it. From pretty much the point FTR turned heel, I was like, oh, great. That's the plan. I kind of felt sorry for everybody out here, because you sometimes never know what continuity you need to address until you do it, and then realise, oh, that was actually an overreach. We didn't need to do that. Like, you could have easily done Cope saying, go find yourself, and then the uncaged go about the business for a bit, and Christian Cage decides to leave that little grudge alone for another day as he finds himself, whatever finding
But the character shouldn't do that, though.
I get that, but I sometimes think, and which to the point, like they're probably thinking, oh, the character has to address this. That but I was watching this thinking, you know what, there was probably a time and a place for Uncaged, and it might have actually been after the FTR thing. You have Christian Cage have this little moment with himself and do this atonement promo that he does here. I quite liked, actually, the idea. It didn't, in execution, it was poor, because in execution, everything was poor. But I quite like the idea of Christian saying, well, hang on a second, Cope. We've both done things we're not proud of, where it's as much what bonds us still as what divides us, is that, like, you were the ultimate opportunity. Just because you're Jack Reacher right now, there was once upon a time where you were the biggest arsehole, and now it just happens to be me, and we've both kind of done this up and down. That's what happens. It's the benefit of 20, 30-year runs, is that you can kind of play with any version of your law that you want, right? And if anything, that's part of the fun. And he did that, and I would have left this Uncaged stuff well alone, physically. Like, it's very easy for a Christian Cage to find the line or find the little bit of dialogue.
Basic wrestling angle that they should have executed.
Yeah, but he could have also said, like, I haven't forgotten. There'll be a day for this. And Uncaged, by the very nature of them wanting to be uncaged, go off and try and conduct some business elsewhere. Because I'm the same as you now. If anything, Cope and Cage probably come together for the first time on screen. Concerto in Uncaged. So Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne in their big new spot exist to get beaten up on the Go Home Dynamite to All Out, where the real villains FTR await. Nice one, Uncaged. Like that's quite a low ceiling for your brand new stable, isn't it? So I think I get exactly why we saw everything we saw here, but sometimes it's only by it playing out do you realise, maybe you shouldn't have bothered.
Standing Concerto was a nice idea.
Yep. But yeah, didn't really work out.
No, disaster. But I'm sure All Out will be great.
Yeah. The Standing Concerto is the original Concerto. That's what people forget as well.
Yeah.
That was the tag team one before there was ever the one that we've kind of associated now as the kill shot for a heel or whatever. But that's what made me think, are we getting, like, is it not they make their return in the ring for the first time at All Out? Is it a Dynamite match against Uncaged to prep them?
That's what's probably going to happen.
I think that's bad booking. I think you save the visual of them together. Yeah, there's a lot you can do in the match to make FTR think they're not at the races anymore. We've got them, but I think you want the whole thing. Maybe you give them a version of it on TV, and then the perfect version is at the pay-per-view. Like they enter together, and there's glasses and there's wacky stuff and whatever. But I don't know. I think they've overthought the whole thing. I think Uncaged was something to do down the line when you wanted to get back to it. I think it was easier than they thought to have Christian find himself than this.
FTR, speaking of which, are backstage with Stokely. They're one step closer to taking back their AEW tag titles. They say Cope needs to be banned from ringside tomorrow night on Collision, of course. What the Hurt Syndicate did last week was cowardice. But over the bank, bing, bing, ging. They're good, but they aren't FTR. But then, bing, bong, excuse me, in walks the Young Bucks.
What's this?
It is funny.
What is it?
It's a...
So, you want to take this?
It's an advert for Audible in which Wilbourn has seen himself manifest. A man tries to get a shopkeeper's attention by going, bing bong, excuse me, because the bing bong of a door, right, in the shop. And the shopkeeper turns around and pisses himself laughing.
Huge pap.
Right, loves it. So he's like, And then he's in the park and he wants to sit down next to somebody on a bench, but she's kind of, and he goes, bing bong, excuse me. The person pisses himself yet again, moves along. The person's he's like, so he goes into his manager's office at work, as illustrated by the fact that they've got an office and he hasn't. So he kind of walks in, knocks on the door, but kind of walks in and goes, bing bong, excuse me. And again, person pisses himself laughing. I mean, howls laughing. And then
Is this real?
Yeah, 100%
Right.
real.
Okay.
Audible advert. And the guy, empowered by the third pop in as many days, one assumes, it is funny like that because he's hammered this into the ground. And then he just walks away happy with his life. And it is revealed that all three people just had their hair over the razor and were in fact listening to a great audible.com podcast.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's as you can see, it is funny.
It
Right,
is
okay,
funny.
Okay.
And Wilbourn has incorporated Bing Bong, excuse me, into his life.
Into my life forever.
And yeah, and
Any interruption now, bing bong, squeeze me.
it is funny.
It is funny.
You need to see this guy's face, specifically when he says it is funny, to see Wilbourn in his eyes. I wonder if the actor has seen Wilbourn and has thought, that's my motivation.
I feel personally attacked by this advert, yeah.
Hypothetical scenario. If I'm in Aldi or a shop after work, just getting some bits, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm lost in my own train of thought, or I'm consulting with my list. Don't show me it. I'm like, what else do I need to get my phone out? And I'm like, I'm taking up space, but I don't mean to. I'm just not present. And someone wants to get me out of the way. And they walk past me and go, bing bong, excuse me, and walk past. I instantly think, what does your hard drive look like? You know what I mean? That sounds like...
Or you'll think of Wilbourn forever.
Well, I don't know what his hard drive looks like either, to be honest.
Look, it is funny. I mean, come on.
You got him. You got him.
Where's the face as well? Because you've seen this face in the office, not this one. This face, right? Yeah, right there. You see there, he's like, pop someone.
And the advert never reveals to the man that they weren't popping at him.
Also,
so he gets to live his life, thinking he's the funniest guy around. It's like...
Also, all the comments, this advert has put me off your product. I cannot stand these obnoxious adverts.
Which is funny because I was commenting the podcast.
I was going to say, have we still got listeners? How?
They've got nobody.
You too.
They obviously, they don't work with a single living soul. who, when they're sat in the office and they've noticed that it's raining outside, know exactly what's coming the second their colleague walks.
Should we tell them what that is? Every time it's raining or blustery or between, as it pertains to the months between September and, I don't know, April. So much for the summer, right?
Every day.
Look, he's popping. It's like
every day.
It is funny. And so the Young Bucks come in. FTR say that they are actually happy that the Bucks have won. Past is the past. Hope we see each other in the finals. They shake hands, and Stokely's like, "You're not in charge anymore, are you?" And the Bucks agreed, and Hathaway looks like he's going to try something, and Matt's not happy that everyone's so fickle in this company.
I still think this might be a bit of a red herring, you know. This book, like the book's falling just short. Who could have potentially
Brodido versus...
if it hadn't been for Brodido, you'd have another FTR Young Bucks match.
Okay. But the good thing, the great thing about this arc on which the Young Bucks are on, they could just lose.
Yeah.
And it fits with the characters, and I would believe it as a possibility.
Yeah. This is a good tournament.
Very good.
He says there's been good tournaments this year in AEW.
No, he's class
Yeah,
at them now.
fixed it,
No, he's
hasn't he?
fixed it, man. Of course he has. It's been on that to-do list.
Yeah.
And then it was time for the world title match. The AEW Championship on the line. Everyone banned from ringside. Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. I was sort of surprised. I was like, oh, it's happening now. But yeah, they also did, it was worthy mentioning on commentary as they show all the extra security they've got. Tony's like, look, we have got more matches planned for this show, and I feel that you would probably like this, but look, we're just going to stick with it as long as it goes.
It's something that they should be doing a lot. It's that pedantic attention to detail that warms my stupid, nerdy heart. Like, it's a world title match. I know Moxley's not exactly like 1981 Ric Flair or 2017 Kenny Omega, but the idea is that these things, more so than any other match, are likely to go the distance. I didn't want this to go an hour. I didn't feel, when you can tell how they're going long on a certain match. I didn't get that. But the idea that it could, I'm so glad they addressed it. They often do this.
Yeah.
And whenever they've got a match that is going to go long or theoretically could go long, there has been a tradition in AEW of putting them in that first hour. And like MJF Ospreay is the example that springs to mind.
They don't, well, it's Hangman and Danielson as well,
Yeah,
isn't
exactly,
it? The
yeah.
unexpected first. They don't observe rules like they used to, but it's great when they keep a few going.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, back and forth early on, chops all over the place. Moxley decides, I've had enough of that. She just bites him in the forehead. Mox goes to the outside. Page sends him over the timekeeper's table. They get back inside. Page gets a near fall off a lariat. Moxley recovers with a release German, hits some punches in the corner. More release Germans from Mox. Page cuts him off, though, backflips onto his feet and hits a discus forearm with Mox. A fall-away slam sends Jon Moxley to the apron. Page tries for his springboard lariat, but hit his comeback and slingshot crossbody. There's a Death Valley driver back inside for a near fall. Moxley grabs him with a Kimura. Page gets to the ropes. Moxley runs at him and gets hit with a pop-up powerbomb.
Pip-up powerbomb. What's that?
Mox sends Page...
Powerbombs.
Mox sends Page into the steps.
He's back, baby.
And
He's just conducting his business. Leave him alone.
it's a pile driver on the steps as well as we go to a break. When we come back, he's in trouble still. But a big lariat from Page gets the reset. He wants the buckshot, but Moxley hits him with a big shotgun dropkick to the floor. Get off the table. I want to hit a pile driver through it, but Page counters into a dead eye. Desk doesn't move. Love that. There's a lariat back inside by Hangman, but Mox kicks out and says, "We'll take more than that, mate." And a moonsault out of the corner who lands from Page. He lands in tombstone position, hits it for a 2 count. Moxley is desperation mode now. Goes to the ankle, gets the bulldog choke. Gator rolls into a front face lock. Page reverses it into a crossface, but Moxley gets the ropes. Page wanted a dead eye on the apron, but Mox rakes the back and hits a huge pile driver and a gotch-style one back inside for 2. Mox wants the Death Rider. Page spins out, left hook. Moxley just smiles at him. Hits some forearms. That sort of wakes up Hangman, who boots him to the outside and hits an Orihara moonsault. Page tries for a buckshot, but Moxley counters, tries for the Death Rider. Page gets him up for a Deadeye, but in all the struggling, Moxley's leg clips the referee, who goes down. Here comes Claudio and Wheeler Yuta through the crowd, but they are held off by security. But in all this distraction and what have you, Marina Shafir appears, slides the world title into Mox. He nails Page with it, who was trying for a buckshot. And everyone thinks, oh my God, they're putting the title back on Jon Moxley. But just at the last second, Page kicks out to a great reaction. The ref sees Marina's there, gets her out of there. They're getting out of there. So it's Marina, Yuta, Claudio. And as they go to leave, suddenly Darby Allin appears on the balcony, hits a big dive onto everyone. Mox can't believe it. Page hits a big boot and a buckshot. Mox escapes the Deadeye, tries for another pile driver, but Page hits the Deadeye and another buckshot. 1, 2, 3, Hangman Page retains.
I don't think this was great TV match of the year caliber. I never felt that watching the actual experience of watching the match in my gut, in my bones. Do I love this? I can't lie and say that I did, but I loved the thought that went into it. I really enjoyed the story. I loved how it all unfolded. It was basically that old thing of the new thing, whatever, steel cage match without the cage. Like, I was cross with myself for not realizing, they'll just do a ref bump and do the interference anyway. But ultimately, they got a great near fall out of it. The Darby spot was great. Got another iconic Darby stunt. You've transitioned from one feud into the next, all very elegantly and very excitingly. So I was happy with that. I liked and really appreciated the story that they told, where like very early on, I like it when there's a baby face that's completely in form. It just knows what the heel's up to. Got the heel completely worked out. The clothesline that Page does, where he jumps off the turnbuckle and spikes him onto the apron. I like how he's just, I'm 2 steps ahead. I've completely worked you out. So Moxley ducks it, but Hangman, again, he's this chess master, babyface, whip smart world champion, just goes, all right, okay, I'll clobber you in the back of the head. So I liked how he showed his smarts early. There was a bit in the sort of opening sort of shootout where Page just forcibly grabbed Mox. No, you're going in the corner. I'm the aggressor. I'm the champion. And again, Mox's facials have been incredible in recent months, particularly since he's lost this title. He's almost even better, which is such a huge achievement really for him, considering the fact that the meta booking and overpowered Jon Moxley did a lot of the heavy lifting and making him feel like this invincible force. Now I think he's even more intriguing, having lost the title. He got physically outfought, tactically outthought, and then he had to do something vile and use weaponry to try and shift that advantage. So I liked how it all played out, like just really classic pro wrestling, heel versus babyface, nice and simplistic. I will say, so he's doing the pile driver on the steps is what like shifts things, and then it starts getting into that shootout. And then when he does the pile driver on the apron, I'm thinking we've kind of done this. We're looping. I'm taking it home. I thought it went a couple of minutes too long. One idea recycled too many, but I loved the bit really near the finish where Moxley, I think as Taz called it, you don't want to do that to Hangman. You don't want to like fire him up. But it was Mox, right, I've done this, I've done that. And to use like a really basic video game analogy, you know, when the boss, you think you've got the boss beat, but then he goes into the final form and he looks like even like bigger or whatever. I think they call it phases. I don't know. I'm not a big gamer. Yeah, when Mox was he looked like he was just on fire, the most violent version of himself. It's like, oh God, you can count on this guy coming back from the dead after the All-In match. Again, I just didn't think it was this amazing visceral experience in my bones and in my gut. But in terms of, again, presenting Hangman Adam Page as this awesome babyface. Sorry, I'm just conducting my business here, and you're getting in the way of that, so please quieten down.
I was laughing at you.
While I conduct my business here.
It's good when you speak, it's with good humour, and I was laughing at that humour.
Thank you. I'm just trying to conduct my business here, so if you could just let me do
an amazing nickname, but
I would be conducting my business so smoothly and eloquently if it weren't for these interruptions that are definitely happening. Okay? So just please let me conduct my business. That's the main objective here. is make Hangman Page feel cool and class and smart, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to not be doing cartwheels at this match?
No. This match, of all things, you mentioned a point here in your recap, and I didn't. There was one point where I didn't agree. Really, was that there was an odd lack of feeling around the drama and the stakes. I quite enjoyed the match. There was
one near fall that I got. I did get that near fall. That did work me.
I didn't get that really, but I very much enjoyed watching Jon Moxley here. You used the word tactical, and I was going to say that as well. It was really enjoyable watching him being tactically outplayed by Hangman Page pretty much at like every point in the match, other than when he tried to almost like drag him down to his level. A few weeks ago, I was questioning out loud if I was ever going to love a straight up Jon Moxley singles match again. And in a way, I both wasn't given the answer here, because I didn't really love this when it was a straight singles match, but I love the idea that the Jon Moxley character also is asking that question of himself, and he has to go to the violence and he has to go to the brutality. Cheating, really. Yeah. Like, within the rules and the confines that were set up around this match, you cannot be power driving somebody on the stairs. And I know that like things escalate and stuff, but it was as if Jon Moxley needed that avenue because he couldn't beat him. Like, he could not beat him in a straight up singles match. He obviously had the Death Riders on like alert for when the point was going to be to cheat, and I can accept that in that character's mind. But it's interesting to me watching Jon Moxley now as a guy who has been so profoundly beaten down by Hangman Page that he's doubting himself and he's doubting what it is he can really do in order to get the win, versus the guy. Again, this is a nice comparison to make now for all the months that it wasn't, but versus the guy in 2020 who had all those ways to outfight you and tell you in advance how he was going to do it.
It's completely on its head now.
Yeah,
they've subverted it magnificently.
It's really, really fun to watch that contrast, as opposed to when it was like just a sad contrast. Now it's a fun one. He's needing to cheat. He's needing to like use all the shortcuts. He's going to weapons when you're just not supposed. Sorry, John, not everything can be a weapons match. You've got to do this in the ring. And he's like, but against him, I can't. And it's
so
really cool
understated with his facials, where you can completely detect what he's trying to go for, but it's just stripped of any kind of obvious hokey, projecting to the back row sort of like, I don't know, OTT-ness about it. Like the subtlety of his facials and that little sort of, the heart rate of like, oh, that didn't work. I'll quickly try something else.
The scratching and biting his back. Right then, well then this.
Yeah.
So like this, he's like, that's not really Jon Moxley, but it's increasingly this crumbling empire Jon Moxley that we're witnessing ahead of presumably maybe a break and a babyface turn or whatever. The loss to Darby, you'd imagine, which again, like I love that. Like, use your TV matches to like get your other stories out there and stuff like that. We got our balcony spot again, saved to week 3. Credit to AEW, keep coming back. He's gonna jump off the balcony, but you've just got to come to all 3. So yeah, there was a lot I really liked about this without really. I think the drama of the match was never there for me, which is probably what stopped it hitting that peak. But again, like, I can't fault it, because this is how you establish this Hangman Page character the way they have. Again, a theme of these Hangman Page is all over these episodes.
Yeah.
And great, because he could not already feel like the well-bedded in AEW World Champion. It probably took him 2 feuds to get to that point the last time around. And we've had 3 weeks at the same venue, and you're already there. Like the booking of Hangman Page thus far, flawless, no notes, 10 out of 10 stuff.
Yeah.
From one world champion to another, timeless Toni Storm in action following this, alongside Alex Windsor against the ROH Women's Champion, of course, Athena and Billie Starkz. Athena and Windsor start us off, obviously, after what happened on Collision.
You see their match?
No.
Really strong. Really strong, really well-told story. Some of it was gnarly as hell. Worth going out of your way to see.
They feels like they're bang on with the Athena in-ring, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, it's accepting this sort of clownish Ring of Honor vignette promo wrestler is.
You would like it without giving anything away if you do go and watch it. You know how you've got this thing of like wrestlers should be wrestling as their characters and on this specific occasion, and not just having this match that's meant to be good. They did such a good job, and Windsor did such a good job of establishing this is my big moment. Because it was the main event. I've prepped for it. I've done some scouting, but then there's a moment near the finish where it's like, oh, you've kind of taken it too far. It's the character.
Oh, great, yeah.
It's really well done.
Like that.
As soon as Storm comes in, Athena wants no part of that. Brings in Starkz, who fakes a handshake and gets a cheap shot. So Storm just kicks her ass, dropkick backbreaker. Windsor comes in for locomotion corner splashes. They dance their way to the corner for a double big boot. Take out Athena as well. Starkz comes back, hits Storm with a cheap shot. But while celebrating, Windsor hit a somersault dive from the apron to take control back inside. Starkz fires back, double leg, slingshot into Athena for a spine buster. Windsor has to hit a desperation headbutt. Athena comes in, missed a senton. Windsor nearly gets the tag, but Starkz gets rid of Toni on the outside. So instead, Windsor has to fight back with some lariats with a double down. There's a Liger bomb on Athena. Starkz breaks the count and eats a charging boot from Toni Storm for doing that. Discus lariat from Windsor on Athena, but Starkz flies in with a senton Atomico. Tags made to Billie Starkz and Toni Storm, who runs wild with drop kicks and hip attacks. There's a Thez press on Starkz, who eats sweet chic music. But in all of this, Athena's legal. She gets the blind tag and just out of nowhere flies in with the O-face and pins the AEW Women's Champion. Post-match, Starkz sends Windsor into the barricade, and Athena stands over Toni Storm saying, "It's only a matter of time. My time is forever." Who could have called Athena pinning the Women's Champion, Hamflett?
This guy.
Hey.
Right.
I thought this is good, bold, unexpected booking because you see the two wrestlers who are having the big title program and they've got their seconds. You expect one of the seconds to get beat. I like how they didn't go that route here. I like the story that they told when, Windsor and Toni Storm were sort of yucking it up, doing that dancing big boot. Hang on, that twist of Athena's pinned Toni Storm. Telling the story of she's not to be taken lightly whatsoever. You thought you were going to get a tune-up match and probably pin Billie Starkz at the end of it. No, the champion is being defeated here. And Toni Storm can absorb that loss. It's absolutely fine. I will say, action-wise, it was quite uneven, really. I think Windsor's definitely got something. The crowd are already warming to her. There was that sort of reaction when her name flashed on the Tron. And you can feel that sort of, if you know, reaction. The people who sort of were impressed with her last time in that Collision main event reacted. You're not going to get that big sort of quasi Austin pop because she's not been presented as this sort of straight out the gate winner in the way that, I don't know, Tekla. It's a different rollout. So you're not going to get those pops, but they're on the right track with presenting her. I like how she puts everything behind what she does to a point where it looks, I don't want to say ugly, but unclean in the best of ways. Her lariat, it's almost deliberately, she just flies into people. It's not so much this really crisply executed move. She knows to put the struggle behind it.
Dare I say it, it's a bit of a Brit Res Indie thing, that, isn't it? There's a lot of the intergender from the Boom period and the stuff like that. They kind of have to go harder to make it convincing in those smaller halls and stuff.
We've talked about it briefly on these pods, her physicality and that intensity on a roster, a women's roster that has Hayter as one of the sort of hidden gems and Statlander as one of the enduring wrestlers, and Toni Storm herself, she's going to fit in, and she already is really, really well. There was one point where I got really taken out of it. So they're meant to do that spot where Billie Starkz is going to do that Brett Perfect headbutt into the abdomen from outside of the ring miss that, knee to the face. Billie Starkz just stuck her head in the ring, ready for it to be kicked off. It's get tighter with stuff like that. Put some intent behind what you're doing. But they recovered, and they told a nice story of don't take Athena lightly. Mostly just fine.
Yeah. I think the nature of it being a tag match is probably what was the most effective. The most effective end of the finish ultimately here was the fact that, you go in with certain expectations, even if you want, I wanted this outcome, but it was unlikely that we were going to get it.
Yeah.
But then I think what it does do, you get double bubble really, because you've sort of protected the seconds in that respect. Windsor and Billie Starkz here have fought to stay alive. And then in the meantime, Toni Storm getting pinned hurts nobody and really helps Athena. So everybody comes out of this better than they went in, which is really useful from a TV tag match, for the women's division especially. And I like that Athena, we had a lot of fun last week, taking the piss out of Execute the Contract. They've had to come up with their own term. And it is already funny, and it's this device that I think, by and large, the AEW base, I don't speak on everybody's behalf, don't like it, right? But in both cases, they're trying to come up with ways in which the person holding the contract sort of either is vying for the title shot or has a right to it already. Athena's is more interesting than MJF's this week, because Athena now has sort of earned herself this title match and shown MJF how to get it. But they could tell the story where Athena doesn't get it done and then learns from a few of her mistakes and executes the contract later on down the line. They've potentially loaded up 2 Athena Toni Storm matches with the same kind of heat. Because they could go, this presumably will go to Forbidden Door, but it'll do so with Athena still holding the contract over Toni Storm's head.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I nearly had you tonight. Rainy day, we go again, that sort of thing. In the same way that you kind of think Toni Storm and Mercedes is destined for a rematch.
They'll do a few of them.
Theoretically establish Athena in that same bracket, especially if they're wanting to beat Athena, but have her get to we were talking yesterday, we did the math calc and trick. Athena would be on something like 970 odd days by Forbidden Door, not quite 1,000.
Yeah.
So I'd pitch the idea of Toni Storm want to say, well, I've just fought a champion that's got this belt. Let's do title for title. And that's the Forbidden Door aspect to it. And it adds like massive drama around, could Athena not make 1,000 days? Now it could just be for Toni's title. Athena could lose. Right, well, I'm still a Forever Ring of Honor champion, and that's good. And then back pocket contract. She sits with that, and she sits with the anger that she's been beaten, and like, I think there's a lot of interesting ways to use Athena on the AEW roster. Even if she loses to Toni Storm, I think they got themselves in a good spot with this finish.
Yeah.
Renee's backstage with Hangman Page, who's been checked over by doctors after that epic world title match, of course. MJF just struts in. Congratulations, Seabiscuit, he says. But last time I checked, heroes don't stab people in the head with forks. He says Page is a coward, and he tries to basically goad him into giving a world title match without using the contract. And Page is like, no, you're going to have to earn a title shot if you don't want to use that contract. You're going to have to beat someone I've known for almost 10 years in Mark Briscoe if you want me to even consider giving you a shot at this title. MJF said the Hicks from the Sticks always stick together. And Page is like, right, I don't see anyone from the Hurt Syndicate with you, though, so maybe I'll kick your ass. MJF runs away.
Was it this one where MJF tried and failed to bait Hangman Page with Swerve Strickland?
Yes.
Great. Brilliant. Hangman Page not rising to it or attempting not to rise to it. And because right now in his life, everything's fine. I love that. Yeah. I just love that. As a Swerve Strickland kind of the same as well. Having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Kazuchika Okada. Like, the tree's not been cut down. But, like, everything's fine. Everything is fine. I like that. I really like that detail.
This is more maintenance booking. They are just trying to put MJF and Page in segments every week just to build the idea that they're going to have a match. So I think by design, it's not this really compelling story just yet. But what they're doing here, week after week, segment after segment, multiple segments, Hangman Page on one show, they are telling you this guy is switched on. He is redeemed. He has become the best version of himself, maybe even in his final form. What is it going to take for that mental piece to get shattered? Keep watching. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they are telling you something big is going to have to happen for this guy to be in a position of vulnerability. What's it going to be? So you'd have to be patient with it, but
yeah, I make this comparison as the ultimate compliment because I know people get pissed off when I bring the Fed into this. They did this with Cody. When the babyface is so well established, it's like, well, like heavy is the head that wears the crown, but like my head's heavier than that, and like the friends starting to keep an eye on wanting the belt and wanting to challenge from it. It's like, what's actually? You are so good at being the top guy, and they've done that with Hangman Page in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's like, he's across so much on purpose. This is what a babyface world title run should feel like, in that there is not just the challenges around every corner. There's sometimes the challenges you like and look forward to facing. He said, Hangman Page, like, there's a line of guys. So he's mindful of the fact there's a line of guys in the locker room and what that must do to you and how long you can, to Sidge's point, hold it together in this admirable way. It makes it forgivable when you can't. And that's how a baby, especially now, especially in this era where you can, like, an AEW did it first and did it brilliantly with Hangman Page on the run up to beating Kenny Omega and did it with Cody Rhodes. WWE did it with Cody Rhodes. This idea of like the mentality of the man, the mentality of the champion. It's the opposite of the Super Cena. You want the guy to be super on the night and defend his title and defend it with honor, but you absolutely allow for, you all right?
Yeah,
like, this is hard. This is really hard to stay the top guy. You can actually ask that question of the babyface now here in 2025, and it's a good thing to do.
So yeah, we had Renee there backstage with Hangman Page, and then there's Willow Nightingale backstage with Alicia.
You know our surname.
No, it's gone. Alicia's there with Willow Nightingale.
Like a sneeze sometimes just disappears when you think, you're going to treat yourself.
If you can never remember it, just look at the lights and it'll just come straight out.
Okay. Tekla's got this new group called the Triangle of Madness. He told me this yesterday.
I can't look at you when you say what you're about to say.
So maybe I can have a nickname too. The trapezoid of Grapazoid. She wants a match with...
What were they thinking? This is Willow friggin' Nightingale.
She wants a match with Tekla on Collision. She speaks to TK about it, and he said, "Damn, girl, you want to get crazy cha style?" Gave her the match. That's how matches get made, obviously. And she's going to rip her legs off. And Excalibur put over a good impression of Tony Khan following this.
Oh, no.
It's the Oh Dear Man's friend.
Oh, yeah. I forgot, oh, dear, man.
I mean, I don't want to criticise Willow Nightingale. What are we doing here? Don't make me do this. But we have done a bit for as long as we've been podcasting, because when we started podcasting together, WWE was at balls deep in it. This is your nickname. More like an insult based on your nickname. That was their go-to thing, the terrible scripting that they would have all of their characters say. Like, trying to think of a specific example.
The all-timer is Fear More.
So they did this thing where the Riot Squad went to vandalize the Bella Twins locker room, and either one or two things happened here. Either the Bella Twins had graffitied their own dressing room with their own catchphrases, and then the Riot Squad came in, crossed it out, and put their own on, or the Riot Squad have gone in, written down the Bella's catchphrases and nicknames, and then crossed them out.
Yeah.
Fearless, Nikki Bella, more like Fear More. It's fearful, dickhead. Moron. Like, they would say stuff like,
What was the Bree mode one?
Oh, I don't know.
They would say like,
Idiot mode.
So the most basic example I can give you is, call yourself the champ, more like a chump.
Ah.
This was the WWE thing that they would say all the time. Having Willow Nightingale do that bit of patter at the expense of Tekla, I found excruciating. What I will say about this, not great at all promo that I cringed during, right, is that it is a good job that you can't ruin Willow Nightingale.
Yeah.
This was almost reassuring that this promo was so dorky and unfunny and just generally cringeworthy that I didn't hate her on the spot. Just felt a bit sorry for her. Next week we go again.
AEW fans.
I mean, she's bulletproof, which is good.
Some AEW fans like this. I'm going to use your thing here. New chintz, NU. So I could see a trapezoid or grapazoid sign next week. Some of them like this new chintz. And this might, there's a
New what?
chintz. CHINTZ.
Yeah.
Like,
I was just wondering what the hell you were talking about.
it's sort of, some of this stuff gets over.
No, honestly.
It does, doesn't it?
We did this, we were talking about this here, that you can say anything, right? Anything in front of a wrestling audience, specifically an AEW one, right? And if you linger on that word long enough, and if you're a heel, pretend that you don't want them to say it. Or if you're a baby face, do you want to say this? And they'll just say,
don't you dare call me a baked potato.
Yeah.
Baked potato. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like anything. You can say anything, and they'll do it.
People will start making trapezoid-shaped signs instead of a rectangle that just says grapazoid on it.
So Tekla could come out next week and say, I heard what Willow... Oh, they're having the match on Collision, so just pretend it's happening next week, right? I heard what Willow Nightingale had to say. I'm a triangle. I'm not a trapezoid.
Trapezoid.
And then he gets some f***ing dork in the crowd. Most of yous are great. Trapezoid. Say it with me, guys. I'm the king of the night. I'm the king of the night. Trapezoid. And then Tekla has to sell it like it's the gravest insult.
Don't call me a shape. I'm already a spider.
Oh, God.
It was, Fear Less, more like Fear More.
Fear More.
And Brie Mode, more like Riot Mode. That's why we're taking over. So that's
what they were called.
If you want to do a Bing Bong Squeeze Me sign, you can do that as obviously.
You should do that. It is funny.
Main event of the evening. Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet. Back and forth, but I like the fact at one point Mark Briscoe just went, I'm not going to sell your forearms, dickhead. Sent him into the corner. Briscoe missed a charge into the corner, but hit a big chop to send Ricochet to the outside. Out comes GOA, the Gates of Agony. That allows Ricochet to attack from behind, big distraction obviously, and hit a big dive to stand tall with his boys as we go to a break. When we come back, Briscoe fires back, hits some strikes, and blocks a pump kick. Just flips Ricochet over. So Ricochet takes the referee to allow Toa Leona to pull Briscoe out to the floor. And Ricochet hit a corkscrew dive and a springboard lariat back inside. And a shooting star gets a 2 count for Ricochet. Briscoe wants the J Driller, but instead has to settle for clotheslining Ricochet to the outside. Korn takes the bullet, shoving Ricochet out the way and eating a baseball slide from Briscoe. So Briscoe sets up a chair in the ring and does a big jump off it onto both of them. Crowd love that, obviously. Again, he tries for the J Driller, but he has to settle for a big lariat to flip Ricochet over. He wants the Froggy Bow, but Bishop Corn takes the ref and Toa Leona sends Briscoe down. Ricochet hit vertigo, but Briscoe kicks out at 2. Again, it looks like the Gates of Agony are going to get into the ring, but where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Brody Doe come out to make the save. They brought to the back. Ricochet fires back after being cradled for a 2 count with thrust kicks, but Briscoe turns him inside out with a lariat and hits the J Driller for the 1, 2, 3. We'll do this separately because it's too long.
Yeah, here's a thing. The match was good. Of course it was going to be good. It's Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet, right? Like, it was kind of, the theme was backwards night. So you already had... Well, it was.
WEA?
Yeah. So think about it, bro. So you had Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. This time we're just doing it in the ring and having a straight up wrestling bout.
Yeah.
Okay. After All in Texas. As cleverly as it was laid out, as important as you could argue it was to just, again, fully underline, put in bold, italicize, Hangman Page is the man. It's not going to be as good as All in Texas. And then it was double backwards, really, because not only have you had that match, which is your main event of the evening, the most important match, the selling point of your TV show, you put this afterwards, so it's not as important. You've already seen the thing that you've had the show sold to you on. So I'm already watching this thing, and yeah, the show's kind of over to a degree for me. But also, Mark Briscoe and Ricochet also had an ultra-violent match on pay-per-view, albeit a double or nothing, but you've seen the most intense, violent, frankly exciting version of that match. So it just felt like diminished return night, but still good.
Yeah, I never thought about the fact that there was 2 examples of that on the same show. Didn't occur to me until you just said it there, yeah.
So I wouldn't have booked this for not only those reasons, those 2 reasons, a third reason is like Mark Briscoe has to be winning his matches, right? So he has to go over here ahead of a feud with MJF. A big match with MJF is announced later on. Can Ricochet? I know he's got. What good are his heavies if he's losing his? His first, is this his first proper Dynamite match? He had Blake Christian, where they've established, the Gates of Agony. That's his new crew. That's going to propel him to gold. That pursuit's failed already because he's just got beat off Mark Briscoe. There's a few reasons why I wouldn't have just booked this match at all. And frankly, it wasn't so good during the actual experience of watching the match that I was dissuaded from that opinion.
I probably enjoyed it a bit more than Sidge, if only because I really like their chemistry. I really like Mark Briscoe and Ricochet. There's something to the way...
It's good contrast there.
There's something to the way Ricochet has been able to adapt his aerial stuff as a heel that I really enjoy watching Mark Briscoe cut off as the babyface. There's more backwards night, actually, but it does work for their dynamic really well. And I'm still buzzing off watching Mark Briscoe the winner. It's really, really satisfying.
On that, I think they might have taken a bit long.
Well, maybe, but it was Like, worth noting, I think, as well, of all people for him to be helped by, it was by Brody Do, because that's the exact same thing with Brody King, isn't it, as well? I'm kind of rooting for them to actually unexpectedly make it all the way in the tag tournament for the exact same reason that I'm rooting for Mark Briscoe, who, by the way, I am confident will beat MJF. Like, looking at this, it's Mark Briscoe and Hangman Page first. Like, I feel pretty sure of that. The MJF thing is for something bigger, if we're honest. You might get Hangman Page and Mark Briscoe at Forbidden Door. But, like, which again has maybe informed my enjoyment of this match when I'm reflecting back on it. Just a feeling that seeing him on his little winning run, which I know is patronising, but actually getting a bit of that, from wanting it for so long, was quite nice to watch. The feeling watching this match of, cool, he's getting this opportunity, but I know he's actually winning this. You're not losing the Ricochet here. It was the opposite. I know normally that takes away from the drama, but I was just You
should want your baby
I'm just in it with Mark Briscoe at the moment.
Yeah, when he used to be like up against Okada on a Dynamite before the Omega match. You're like,
park your emotions before the bell rings. You know he's getting beat. That kind of thing.
I understand what all of this is designed to do. They want to propel Mark Briscoe up the card. They want to get the serious version of Mark Briscoe, who's an unbelievable professional wrestler. I couldn't shake the feeling that it's going to take a little bit more work to convince me. Like, you know what I mean? He spent so long as MJF himself said, mascot Mark, just the guy who is here to entertain you in the mid-card, bit daft, bit silly, bit wholesome. You're not a star, though. You're more of a clown than anything else. So understand that is the explicit story that they're telling, and they are telling you at the same time, no, start taking Mark Briscoe seriously. But the guy was in so many random matches having fun for like months and losing a lot of them. It's just going to I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. But if you look at where we're at in the story, this early phase, like there's more to come in Mark Briscoe truly being Mark Briscoe again and it feeling more credible. Now's not the time. There's weeks and possibly even months to go with this. It's just, I couldn't help but remember, dude, this guy has lost a lot, and they're trying to tell me all of a sudden, he's a winner now, and he's serious. It's just going to take a bit of time, I feel.
You make a great point. It's tied to it about the choice of Ricochet here as well, because AEW can be reckless with their credibility to a huge detriment. That's how matches suddenly just feel like matches, because you stop backing people as winners. And I hadn't really considered that about Ricochet in this stable, which I quite enjoy watching. But am I already mentally adjusting my expectations?
TNT.
They popped me a bit. Yeah, like
trios is what I was thinking of.
Bit of fun. But like initially, at least in the early stages, you should be thinking, how far can these go? Yeah. And then very quickly, and to the Mark Briscoe problem, but on the heel side, heels can get minimized in the exact same way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're left with like that AEW problem of a couple of years now, where it's like, Christ, this is a massive mid-card where very few people feel believable enough to break that seal.
Yeah.
You know? Mark Briscoe's trying to here with MJF.
Yeah.
But it's really tough to get out of that enormous mid-card, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Wins and losses do matter. Stigmas do attach themselves, you know?
Yeah, speaking of which, post-match, he grabs a mic and says, we're just getting started. Calls out MJF. One time you bring up my brother's name, shame on you. 2 times, shame on me for not obliterating your ass. He said,
that's good. I like that. That's a rule. That's an interesting rule to establish that.
Babyfaces should have them.
Yeah.
Like, I won't do anything overtly violent to you, but if you do that to me, game on, you know?
There's just an expectation from Mark Briscoe, a smart one, that some heels are going to try and invoke his brother to get his attention, and he's like, he can rise above it, but
not if you keep.
Do not take the piss, mate. And I like that, like for that character.
No, he's proper, man.
Yeah.
Great line here. I never felt like this before. I need help. For the first time, I may never see my brother again. I know he's up there chilling in the mansion, but MJF, if I kill your ass in cold blood, if I don't repent, because not even the slightest cell in my body feels remorse, I feel nothing, then I'll never see him again, obviously. Make my day, damn it. Right here, right now. Get your ass out here. Let's do it. And MJF's music hits, but he's not out there. He's on the big screen. He's backstage. He says, I'm not an idiot. I knew, as you mentioned, Mascot Mark would drop the comedy routine. Doesn't mean I have to take you seriously, though. I have 0 interest in a match, says Maxwell, but now I've got to bloody entertain it because bloody Seabiscuit told me I had to get a shot at this world title. Well, I talked to that Mark, Tony Khan, and yeah, I mean, we can have a match next week, if you make it, that is. And then suddenly, video cuts off and MJF is in the ring behind Mark Briscoe, low blows him, beats him down whilst wearing a MJF did nothing wrong shirt.
I like the t-shirt.
Tells tells Hangman Page to watch, and he puts on the beautiful diamond ring. But Hangman Page's music hits. He marches down to the ring, boots MJF, teased a buckshot. MJF spins out of it, almost gets hit with a J driller, and scarpers to close out this show.
Very contrived. How's that video being played? When was it recorded? For what purpose? Do you know, it's like a very American TV wrestling can't help itself in a way, this angle. Other than that, you know, all of it's broadly fine. I will say, right, that if you're going to have Mark Briscoe, who, and this is kind of true to life, like, I remember when Jay Briscoe passed away, like, I think the general, like, consensus was how strong is Mark Briscoe to be, like, there were times he seemed like less cut up about it than some of his peers when they were doing the tribute show, and then they did a proper tribute match and all the rest of it after the talks with Warner. So it was very powerful, and he was like, at the funeral service, this joke about, you know, he did the joke about, morning, nah, I'm just taking the shit. You know that one?
Yeah.
And he just felt like he was in such great spirits, and he was like, oh, no, he's in heaven. I'll see him again one day.
Yeah.
Like, masking to himself at the time. So for him to say, it's dawned on me that he's actually dead.
Yeah.
Theoretically could have been very powerful. It just felt weird for him to come to this realization after his regularly scheduled match against Ricochet on the night. If he'd come out disrupting the order of the show and just said, I don't do this, you know, I've got manners and da-da-da, but I can't let what he said slide. And he does that in the opening segment. I might have believed him a bit more. I know he's got these very real feelings. I'm not saying that I don't think he believes it, but in terms of the character saying it, I reckon he maybe could have come out in segment 1 and just said it.
Yeah, maybe because it's heavy material.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you
especially
inadvertently...
He's had a week as well to stew on that as well.
Yeah. I got...
Just a formatting issue, in my opinion.
I got quite excited fantasy booking my way through these three guys here. I really like this picture, the way this is building up. Working on these, because Hangman Page has said, I'll tell you who's in front of the queue, MJF, is Mark Briscoe, so you beat him and then you might get your title shot. So they haven't outright called it number one contenders match, but Hangman Page is laying it out that it might as well be. So if and when Mark Briscoe beats MJF, which I firmly believe he will, I think it's way more in service of the stories you can tell if he does, then Mark Briscoe has effectively earned a title shot and Hangman Page welcomes it, and they try and stay like good guys that are going to have a respectable title match. The idea that MJF then realizes he needs to stir that up, and he started doing MJF did nothing wrong as a kind of knock on. He believes that Hangman Page has done plenty wrong, actually. And when Hangman Page maybe has to get a bit violent or a bit nasty to make sure that he beats Mark Briscoe, in the aftermath of MJF being like, I thought I was the bad guy for going for Mark Briscoe. What you did to him was pretty bloody awful, mate. And then it's like he continues to peck at this like facade. He knows that Hangman Page is whole again. So his job as this absolute bastard is to peck with the best chance he's got of winning that title. What they can do in the aftermath of Page Briscoe, if that's where they go, I think is, again, more compelling stuff. MJF was doing this before Page won the belt. He got started on Project Deconstruct Hangman Page before All In. Yeah. So it's like it's a thing he's working at. And I think that's really nice, layered, very long-standing character stuff, the likes of which we celebrate about AEW at its peak. And I really do think they're, like, I don't know where it lands, full game maybe, or beyond, who knows. But I don't know, like, I got really good feelings about how they're building programs within programs. And I got quite excited, like, seeing these three out there in the main event.
Yeah. Well, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all four of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow our brilliant producer Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. For now, there's been the Dynamite review. My thanks to Hamflett, Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.